Former First Lady Michelle Obama says she's in therapy and is transitioning to a new phase in life, I assume.
And at this phase of my life, I'm in therapy right now because I'm transitioning. You know, I'm 60 years old. I finished a really hard thing in my life with my family intact. I'm an empty nester. My girls are in, they've been launched. And now for the first time, as I've said before, every choice that I'm making is completely mine. I now don't have the excuse of, well, my kids need this or my husband needs that or the country needs that. So how do I think about this next phase? And let me get some help. Let me unwind some old habits. Let me sort through some old guilt that I've been carrying around. Let me talk about how my relationship with my mother has affected how I think about things. So I'm getting that tune up for this next phase because I believe this is a whole nother phase in life for me. And I now have the wisdom to know, let me go get some coaching while I'm doing it so that I've got other voices other than the people who know me best. I've got a new person that's getting to know me and seeing me completely new and hearing all these emotions. I am an advocate of it. Everybody needs to find their form of it the best way they can.
And she says living in the White House isn't as glamorous as it seems. After all, the Obamas had to pay for their own food and travel.
Many people don't know. I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every food, every bit of food that you eat. You're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel. If you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel.
Where do you start? The president earns $500,000 a year. The Obamas entered the White House with a net worth of a little less than $2 million. Their net worth is now estimated between $200 and $300 million. Mansions in Hawaii, D.C., and Martha's Vineyard, although that one is up for sale for $39 million. And Michelle complained about America. You remember that?
I don't think we've seen that. But what we've learned over this year is that hope is making a comeback. It is making a comeback, and let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country. And not just because Barack has done well, but because I think people are hungry for change. And I have been desperate to see our country moving in that direction and just not feeling so alone in my frustration and disappointment. I've seen people who are hungry to be unified around some basic common issues, and it's made me proud. And I feel privileged to be a part of even witnessing this, traveling around states all over this country and being reminded that there is more that unites us than divides us, that the struggles of a farmer in Iowa are no different than what's happening on the south side of Chicago, that people are feeling the same pain and wanting the same things for their families.
She even said her high school counselor advised her not to bother applying to Princeton because she wouldn't get in. But she got in. And then wrote a thesis about how oppressed she felt at Princeton. She complained constantly about being in the fishbowl, her word, of the White House, complained about the supposedly unfair media coverage she and her husband got, and near the end of Obama's second term, Michelle said she could hardly wait to leave the White House. As far as not attending Jimmy Carter's funeral and Donald Trump's inauguration, well, she needed some me time.
My decision to skip the inauguration, what people don't realize, or my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule and criticism. Like, people couldn't believe that I was saying no for any other reason, that they had to assume that my marriage was falling apart.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like, while I'm here really trying to own my life and intentionally practice making the choice that was right for me, and it took everything in my power to not do the thing that was right, or that was perceived as right, but do the thing that was right for me. Mm-hmm. That was a hard thing for me to do. Mm-hmm. I had to basically trick myself out of it. And it started with not having anything to wear. I mean, I had affirmatively, because I'm always prepared for any
Right.
funeral, anything. I walk around with the right dress. I travel with clothes just in case something pops off.
Mhm.
So I was like, if I'm not going to do this thing, I got to tell my team, I don't even want to have a dress ready,
Yeah.
right? Because it's so easy to just say, let me do the right thing.
So she told her team not to prepare a dress for her. Who has a team? She reportedly did not want Obama to go into politics in the first place. When he ran for the House of Representatives, she tried to talk him out of doing that, and apparently did not want him to run for Senate. And she had to be talked into him running for president. To say she was a reluctant, if unhappy political wife would be an understatement. She once even admitted that for 10 years she, quote, couldn't stand, close quote, Barack Obama.
You know, and for 10 years while we're trying to build our careers and, you know, worrying about school and who's doing what and what, you know, I was like, oh, this isn't even. People think I'm being catty by saying this. It's like there were 10 years when I couldn't stand my husband.
She couldn't stand Barack Obama for 10 years? Well, we had 8 years of Michelle Obama, and somehow we were able to handle it.
I mean, come on.
And she says Trump's plan for mass deportation keeps her up at night.
This current climate for me, it's, you know, what's happening to immigrants. That frightens me. It keeps me up at night, knowing that there's so much bias and so much racism and so much ignorance. I worry for people of color all over this country.
I wonder how she slept at night when Democrats called her husband deporter in chief.
One of these presidents expanded the Secure Communities program for deporting immigrants who are booked into local jails from 31 jurisdictions in this nation to over 3,000. And who was that? Yes, President Barack Obama, another dubious star. Question number 3, let's go to boots on the ground, where the immigration issue seems to begin and end for many Republicans. Who spent more money on immigration enforcement than all other federal law enforcement combined? Well, if you guessed Barack Obama, you'd be right. Yes, the $18 billion he spends is $3.5 billion more every year than we spend on the FBI, ATF, DEA, Secret Service, all of them combined, in order to achieve what? Unprecedented deportations. Another star. Question 4, what crimes are the most prosecuted crimes in federal court? You think kidnapping, murder, counterfeiting, political corruption? No, under Barack Obama, the #1 crime prosecuted as a misdemeanor is being illegally in this country, and the #1 crime prosecuted as a felony in federal courts is what? Illegal re-entry to the United States. Another star. Finally, for question 5, we get to detention. Which of these presidents put more than 420,000 people in detention in just one single year of his presidency? Yes, arrested and put them in jail. President Barack Obama has detained more immigrants in jails, prisons, and detention facilities than any other president of the United States of America. That's 5 for 5. And it goes to the deporter-in-chief, Barack Obama.
Back to Michelle. Do not call her angry, although she admitted that she is angrier than her friends.
We grew up with women who weren't voicing the pain and the burden. They made it look easy. And when you make stuff look easy, people assume that you must like this.
Yeah.
It's okay with you, right?
Right.
You know, we don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
There's
If
that
we
part.
knew, I think we would care. If we knew.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
Or, you know, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, the men in our lives is, you know, why wait to be asked? You know, it seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but we're actually living life out loud, you know? You know, you see us carrying these babies, you see us working a job and coming home and managing, getting food on the table and handling doctor's appointments. And this is, if you've got a partner, right? I think some of us feel like, why should we have to ask?
Yeah.
It seems apparent. And as Black women, sometimes there is that underlying thing we're socialized to believe from very early on, that we don't deserve any better. Well, I think that's why it's important for us at tables like this, for women like us who do have a platform to talk openly about the challenges that we face, not because we are complaining, which we don't want to ever be complaining, but because we need to change. We need to turn that cycle on its head. And we have to talk about our stresses openly, And also, as Black women, we are so easily labeled as angry and bitter. And let me tell you some of the most hurtful stuff that I experienced, entering this life of public service at the heights that we entered into was during my husband's presidential campaign. And just me telling the truth of who we were, just humanizing him as a man, saying he's a great man, but he's not perfect. He's got his foibles and his flaws, trying to humanize him. The first thing that some female journalist said was that I was bitter. I was emasculating him just by sort of trying to tell the truth about what life is, right? And then you get labeled as angry, because you talk forcefully or passionately about something, even if it's in the context of great joy and pride. That the first label they put on us as Black women is that we are angry. And the irony is like, I am probably less liked than many of my white female friends. I see that.
Less
light.
Not liked.
Light. Light, because I say this a lot. I mean, I see the difference in some of my white female friends. I see a lightness, an ability to be in the world and see what's going on, but still be not as burdened about it as I think I am. I think that what I see happen in the news, the assault on immigration rights, the challenges that face our community, the inequality, I think it burns at me in a different way.
Because it affects you.
Yeah.
It affects your children.
Yeah.
It affects you.
Yeah. So imagine, we wake up every day just carrying that.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't directly affect me, sometimes I just have to stop reading the paper.
Yes.
So that I can stop thinking about all that's wrong. Sometimes, I don't know about you, Taraji, I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who you calling angry?
Talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
Still, the Obamas have been married over 30 years and counting. We wish them well. Hey, Eldorados, I just had my birthday a few days ago, and I just turned, but honestly, I feel more like 43. The other day I was asked, yo, Eldersky, how do you stay so sharp? I said something about feeling young again, and then it hit me. I really do feel younger, and I'll tell you why. It's this stuff right here. It's called Immun'Âge. It's a 100% natural, anti-aging Japanese supplement made 100% of fermented papaya. I've been using it daily for the past few months, and I've noticed a real difference. My immunity is stronger. Energy's up. Even my skin is looking younger. Now, just pour this packet under your tongue. It's a powder. Let it dissolve. That's it. Tastes great. No pills to swallow. No hassle. If you want to look and feel younger and give your body something it'll thank you for, go to Immun'Âge.com. That's IMMUNAGE.com and use my code Larry at checkout. Immun'Âge, not too hard to pronounce, Immun'Âge.com, code Larry at checkout for 10% off. Please welcome to the program the CEO of Freedom Chat, Tanner Haas. My question, Tanner, is assume that instead of using Signal, they had been using Freedom Chat. Would what happened have happened?
Well, I think there's a few reasons to suggest that it is likely that it would not have happened. Somebody was inadvertently added to a group chat, not with his phone number, but with the username. If I had two friends, one is named Larry Elder, the other same initials, LE, I accidentally added the wrong individual. That is really what happened. So let's make the phone number. That should be a verification right there. Number two is in a top secret group chat. You should have an approval process. So if you and I are in a group chat, Larry, with a few other people, and I want to add somebody to that group chat, then everybody in the group chat should have to approve that individual that I'm attempting to add. And until that approval process takes place, he should not, or she should not successfully be added to the group chat. It looks like he took a screenshot of the chat. Doesn't look like he took it with another phone. Freedom Chat prevents screenshots and screen recordings entirely. And as you know, if you try to take a screenshot within Freedom Chat, all you'll get is a blank white screen. And we prevent media from being saved as well. What's occurred on Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp is they allow one account to be on multiple devices. That to me opens up the door for security vulnerabilities, phishing, hacking, abuse. So that means that your phone number, Larry, you can log in on your iPhone, your Android, your iPad, iPhone number 2. And the more devices you have out there, the greater likelihood that something's going to happen. With Freedom Chat, we do not allow that, or we put a priority over privacy and security compared to convenience. So your phone number can only be linked to one device. Somebody tried to log in on another device with your phone number, the messages wouldn't even decrypt. It would say send a message, but decryption failed.
Don't watch from the sidelines. Invest in freedom, invest in your privacy, and be a part of history.
Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat.
Download the app today.